Hello, this is Jewel Fitzgerald from the Jules Travel YouTube channel. My husband and I went on a bucket list ship sailing on the Radiance of the Seas. We went on that ship to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary. This ship is the first ship in the Radiance class of Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, and it was a smaller ship. It was only 90 tons in size with 2,466 passengers and 894 members of the crew. It has 13 decks, 12 of which are for passengers. Now, this Radiance class is smaller for a reason because there's four other ships that's in this category. The Brilliance is one that I can think of, and two others that they're smaller than some of the bigger ships of Royal Caribbean because they need to be small enough to go through the Panama Canal and small enough to get up close to some glaciers in Alaska. And the cool part about this ship, because I have always wanted to be on this ship when it first came out in 2001 when I was a travel agent, because this class of ships of Royal Caribbean, or they make them where there's lots of glass everywhere. So because of this glass, you're able to see more of the panoramic views outside the ship, like the glaciers, like the Panama Canal, the ocean, and so many other things that cruise ships sail by. So that's why it's called the Radiance class, because they just radiate the outside of the environment outside the ship. So this is the first one in that particular category. So we went there because we were doing a bucket list because we wanted to go through the Panama Canal. Like I just said, I originally wanted to go through Alaska, but we never got a chance to do that when she's in Alaska. And she had just came from Alaska when we got on this ship. So Panama Canal was what we ended up doing. She has this more traditional world-class feel to it. I don't know if you've been sailing a long time, you know exactly what I'm talking about. We first went on our first cruise on a different cruise line. Don't want to talk about that one, but on a different cruise line back in 1994 on the weekend of Thanksgiving with our children who were minors at that time, because that was our first exposure to it. And it just made me realize that while I was doing this, preparing for this, it's like, wow, as of next month, Thanksgiving, we will have been sailing on cruise ships for 30 years. Wow, I knew it was a long time, but I never realized it was 30 years as of next month, which is also when our actual anniversary date is for our 50th anniversary is November 8th. We had to take this sailing early because the Panama Canal is only offered early in October, this month in October, and then it was offered again, I think in November or December, but it would interfere with Thanksgiving and Christmas, so we couldn't do the sailing then because then it would be going back the other direction that we just came from. So let's just talk about more about this ship, the sailing in particular. So when we first board any ship, no matter which cruise line it is, we always board it immediately to eat first. So we always go to whatever deck where the food is happening. It's usually a buffet. So we usually go there, eat, and then after we eat, then we do a ship inspection. Me, my husband, and I, we walk from one end of the ship to the other, deck by deck by deck. So that's why how we were able to get some of these pictures, especially before people were in them. One of the spots in this particular ship is the Aurora Theater. It's on decks 5 and 6, and it holds quite a few people, as you can see just from this view. We're actually on the deck 5 looking down at deck 5. We're on deck 6 looking down at deck 5. So it's huge. Lots and lots of people can be in there. So we attended most of the evening shows on this particular sailing. Those shows could have been Broadway shows, musicals, comedy, acts. They even have movies in there, and then they have other staged events that's happening there. So all kind of things are happening there. But we love going in there at least I love going there for Broadway shows and musicals and anything that's happening on stage. I just love that kind of thing, especially when I can get a Broadway show on the sea. Anyway, the center of the ship, which is that lower picture, starts on deck 4, and it's called the Centrium. The first door, the deck there on the on the deck on deck 4 there. You can also see this little bar at the bottom of the green stairs, or actually next to the green stairs, the lobby bar. But that deck, that opening space there, goes up to as high as deck 12. So you could look down on the various different decks through down to deck 4. And a lot of people would do that on those other decks, especially 4 through 11. They would actually stand on those different decks and look down and look at the entertainment, look at the people dancing, or whatever's going on deck 4. So anytime something was going on deck 4, there was tons of people on all those decks just looking down and watching the dancing or entertaining or singing or whatever was going on. And sometimes they even had a cake decorating and all kinds of things was happening on deck 4. But that thing is huge and it's beautiful. And then we also had the dining. We had main dining in the Cascades dining room for early and late diners. We are late diners. We love to eat around 8, 7 or 8 o'clock. This particular sailing was at 8 o'clock. We ate at 8. And because this allows us time to enjoy everything on the ship, everything on shore. A lot of times we're on land and we don't like the idea of rushing back, changing or whatever. We like to take our time. We love watching the ship sail off. And sometimes when the ship is sailing off, it's during that early dining time. So we just love watching them unrope the ship and then we sail off. So we always like to go to the light dining so we can enjoy as much of the activity as possible and eat late. And we also eat late at home too, anyway. So that's the reason why we ate at 8. But anyway, so this dining room, the Cascades, it encompasses 2 decks, decks 4 and 5, and we ate on deck 4. The wonderful part about being on deck 4, every time we were done with dinner, we came out, there was always something on that centrum. And that centrum that I just showed you a minute ago, because it spills right past that area. There will always be dancing, entertainment, singing, and we a lot of times stop there and listen. And a lot of times, more times than not, we would be dancing because every time we come out, the music is pumping. And right after we ate, we would start dancing, which was a perfect time to work off all the food we just ate in the dining room. There are also other dining options besides the main dining, which is on the 2 floors, decks I was telling you about. The other dining options were called the Windjammer, which is a buffet style type environment where easily, as I was saying, it was buffet. You went in there and picked out what you wanted. They had different themes for the day, and you would just go on and go buck wild with that food, because then you could pick anything from ice cream to whatever. So it catered to everyone's palate. So that was a wonderful place to go to. There was also a park cafe, which had light sandwiches. And then I think they had drinks there too, but it was light sandwiches basically. And then there was the dog house, which had hot dogs with the fixins. So that was kind of cool to have that location, especially when the Windjammer was closed, so you can get the hot dogs. I just wish they had French fries in addition to it instead of just the hot dogs. But hey, that's just me. I like to have some French fries to go along with my hot dogs. And then you had some specialty dining. So all those dinings I just told you about, Windjammer, the main dining, Park Cafe, and the Doghouse are all free and included with your purchase of the cruise experience. Now the specialty dining are dinings that have an additional cost to them, and you have to make a reservation to be in them. So you have the Chops Grill, which is an American steakhouse. Then you have the Chef's Table, which is formal attire for those culinary connoisseurs out there. Then you have the Giovanni's Table, which is a family-style rustic Italian venue. Then you have Sambo Grill, which is a Brazilian steakhouse. Then you also have the Izumi Asian cuisine, which has Far East flavors and sushi. And then you have also the Cafe Latitudes, which has a lot of specialty coffees and pastries. And then you also have room service. I often saw people standing in line at that Cafe Latitudes. It's almost like a Starbucks on sea, but it's called Cafe Latitudes. So people would line up for that and there would be specialty drink packages for the coffee too. I remember a friend of mine's on another cruise the cruise that I did earlier in the year in the Symphony, who also had a coffee package, and so she was always at that location's one at that particular ship. So also on the bottom is called the Casino Royale, which is on deck 5. And I managed to get this shot before any people was in it because we were doing this ship inspection as people were coming on, because otherwise it would be kind of hard to take a picture in the casino because most ships kind of discourage you to take pictures when the casino's in action. And that's obvious just for privacy reasons and any other thing like that. So I was glad to get this quick snap while there was nobody in the casino. Then you have pools. There are 3 pools on this ship. The top pool is the main pool area, which also has that sky bar on the top there, and anybody can swim in there. And then there's a second pool that's an adult-only pool at the bottom picture. That's adult-only pool. It's in the solarium. And then there's a third pool for the kids. So there you have 3 pools, one in the main pool, the adult-only pool, and the one for the kids. The other kid option things that they can participate in, which is part of the pool, is that Adventure Ocean pool area. They have a nursery, they got a teen disco, and then they have an adventure beach. So there's a lot of things for the kids to participate in also. And there were a number of kids on that ship. I'm trying to think the oldest teen. I don't know, maybe it was a preteen, I think. But we saw children from as young as babies up until I'm thinking the preteen area. So I'm thinking the ones that were in the preteen and teenager area. I just think about that after I just said that. Probably either have them, yeah, there were some teens now I think about it. Took them off from school or maybe they were homeschoolers, but it sounded like most of them were in a school and they just took them off for the entire cruise. But then I know we've done that where we're taking the kids out for a trip and then we just made arrangements with the school teachers for school work assignments in advance, or they did kind of reports on whatever experiences they had while we were on a trip. So it was kind of nice seeing a few kids there. Just wasn't a lot of them because it's a long trip and it's in October. Anyway, so there's a lot of clubs and lounges there. There are 10 of them. The lobby bar, the Star Quest, the Star Quest Disco, and the Colony Club, those 3, the lobby bar, the Star Quest Disco, and the Colony Club were our favorite places to dance in. That top picture is in the Colony Club, and we did some great dancing in there. We also watched some shows in there. So one time we did a really interesting kind of dance party where it was called a shush. I can't even say the word now. Shoosh. It was a silent party. So, meaning everybody that were dancing there had headphones on, and we were all dancing to a different track of music. So we could hear the music of the person, only other people, just the music that we were individually dancing on. In this case, they had 2 different tracks going on, and I'm thinking it was red and blue because I can't even remember what colors they were. My husband was on one track, and I was on another track. So it was kind of cool to watch people that you're with or other people dancing to other things that you're not dancing to. So it just makes me think about my husband was laughing when he saw a bunch of us going low, 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 doing some song where everybody was going real low. And he's like, well, that's definitely not the song I'm on because I'm not on that one. And all these people trying to go low. So that was real fun. I really loved that one the most. That was an interesting experience just to dance to your own beat, do what you want to do. You have to even really pay attention to other people. Even though some people were, because it seemed like some people were getting competitive because they wanted to see who was going to last. In this case, it was an hour and 15 minute, that particular party. But there were about maybe 6 different of these silent parties during the week, and we went to one of them. And yeah, so it was kind of cool because they even made it sound like they wanted to see who would last the whole time. I love to dance, so I definitely lasted the whole time. I can dance all night. I just love doing that. So the bottom picture is another one of the bars. It's actually called the Schooner Bar. And like I said, there's 10 lounges and bars. I won't go through the whole list and I didn't want to give you pictures of every last one of them. But there's a lot. All right, they also have a lot of shopping. They have maybe 5 to 6 shops in their little shopping plaza area. They call it the Shops of Centrum. And there you could get anything from jewelry, watches, to toiletries. So it's anything in between, bags, hats, clothes, t-shirts, all kind of things for your purchasing pleasure, especially in the toiletry area when you might have forgot to bring something like a toothpaste, toothbrush, whatever. So there's a lot of things you can purchase in any of these shops. And then on the bottom, they have a lot of navigational opportunities for you so you can know where the heck you are on the ship. I love this 3D deck plan right there. That way you know exactly, not necessarily where you are, but where you want to go. Because that's usually why you look at the plan to know, I need to get to deck. I need to find out where, not where the deck is. I need to find out where, let's say, where the schooner bar is, but I'm on some other deck. So first I got to find out where it is that I can know how to get there. So that's why I like those 3D ones, because that's something from the old school. A lot of the older ships have that on there. Some of the newer ones don't have the old school deck plan all the time. So I just love it when I get to see that, because I'm one of those kind of people that need to see it. But they give you all kind of other opportunities for navigation. And this ship and all the others, they also have a touch screen board where you can touch that and see where you are. You can also get information like weather and all kind of other things on there and what shows going on. It's just tons of information on the touchscreen thing. And then we also can have our navigation as far as the deck plans on the app on our phone. All of us had our phones, and we had an app where we can see deck plans, we can see what the shows are, we can see whatever's going on at any time using that app. So that was kind of cool. Then there's tons of other things you can do on the ship that, besides their regularly scheduled activities like game shows and movies and pool activities, they have every day there's a compass that you can, there's a, either on the app or by paper, they'll give you a schedule of what's happening from top of the day to the end of the day. Then you can decide to go to some of these things and not go to these things. And they're usually a group kind of function, those other things, bingo, all kind of things. It's just so much I can't even start to try to list them. If you've been on a cruise, you know what I'm talking about. But there's also a lot of things you can do on your own by yourself, like some of these activities here. Like there's a walking track, and there's always a ton of people walking or running on that track. More people are walking than not. But there's a walking track, and it was up on deck 12 in this particular sailing. But there's also a promenade deck. My husband and I like the promenade deck better than the walking track on this particular sailing, on this particular ship. On some other ships, every ship has a different configuration for the walking track, and we preferred the promenade deck on this ship because the promenade deck walks all the way around the ship. So from bow to stern, vice versa, you can walk the entire part of the ship, and then you can walk it, and you can get less rotations by the mile by doing that. So it's kind of cool being able to walk on that promenade deck, which we were doing up in this picture. Then you also have shuffleboards you can play with. We got putt-putt golf. You can play basketball. There's a rock climbing wall just behind where this basketball court is. And also on that court, they'll play stuff like tennis and pickleball. And then there's, trying to think, there's something else up there. Yeah, whatever. So there's that. So there's a lot of other things you can do individually. Then besides these things here, there's a cinema. We went to see 2 movies while we were there. And there's also an art and photo gallery where you could purchase actual real art. And then there's a photo gallery where you could purchase pictures to capture those precious memories for this trip. And then they also have a medical deck on a medical center on deck 2. This is one of those places that I hope I never have to use. But I do remember a friend of mine who used it on just the last sailing I was on the Symphony of the Seas. She had fallen down some stairs and she had to go to the medical facility, and they were so good, the service on that ship, and I'm sure it would have been the same here on the Radiance, would have been they're just really good. They made sure she was good. They kept calling her on during the week to make sure she was healing, progressing as she healed from that little fall. She didn't have any real injuries, but some bruising, but they made sure she was cool. But that's definitely a place I don't ever want to use. This ship also has a library. It has a computer room. And that computer room took me back to the days before we started getting these wonderful cell phones, tablets, and bringing your own computer. Because they've always had some kind of computer room where you could buy an internet package. And now that we all have, like I just said, computers, laptops, tablets, a lot of people aren't using the computer room, but some people are, because a lot of people want to do a complete disconnect, because there were still some people out there that did not use cell phones. They put them away and didn't use the app. They used the paper schedules and anything that was manually able to be used. So they definitely cut off. But they might go on a computer for some reason or another. So that was still available to be used, because I used to use that before I got all those portable personal devices, because as a travel agent, I needed to still be online in that computer room. So I used it back in the day. So they still have them available for usage. They have concierge clubs and then diamond clubs especially for the diamond club members. Those are people that have been traveling on Royal Caribbean for a lot of days, and they get special privileges by using concierge club and the diamond club. And there's also a vitality spa area where you can get a spa, get some kind of, and they have a gym for exercising. So that's another location you can go to. And they also have a beauty salon. So this ship has a lot on here. So you cannot be on the ship, get bored or have nothing to do, or get some complete relaxation by having a nice spa treatment, massage, or what do they call those things? Thermal rooms, and this has got a lot there. Anyway, so the cabins, there are 578 balcony cabins, 247 outside cabins that have windows, and then they have 246 inside cabins that have no windows. So this is our particular cabin where they decorated it because we were celebrating our 50th anniversary. This is our door that said happy anniversary on the outside. And we first got there, our key was there for us to go in. And then, like I said, they decorated the inside. You probably can't see the mirror has a decoration on it too for the celebration. So it's kind of cool that it was decorated that way. So this was the first day we checked in. But we always get a balcony. When we first started this 1994, we were children, we didn't have no idea about any of these cabin levels. We got an inside cabin because it was least expensive, because we had 4 people, and it was on a Thanksgiving weekend. We were surprised that we were able to get in, because back in the day when we were reading newspapers and the ads for cruises were in a newspaper, they had a special at this other cruise line. And we said, let's go check it out. And just knew it was going to be a blackout day because it's a weekend. It's the Thanksgiving weekend. But nope, it was included. So we booked that trip and went. And it was the best thing that we have ever done since then, because now I'm in cruises all the time, like I said, 30 years later. So we got an inside cabin because it was the least economical for us at the time. So one thing about being in a cabin then, and inside cabin, is that when that door closes, it is pitch black. Once you cut the light off and everything, you cannot see your hand in front of your face. Now they probably is not so bad, because even with our cabin, even though we have the balcony and the light coming in, when you close the curtains, close the lights off, if you have to go to the bathroom, a little light will come on so you can at least see your way to the bathroom. So I'm sure the inside cabins probably got something like that going on too. So it's not going to be as bad, pitch black, as it was back in the day when we were traveling. So that was really cool. And then there's going to also be a video after this particular section with more details showing our cabin, where it'll show all the storage, the bathroom, the balcony. So just hang on with this video and watch that one after this. Alrighty, so then our itinerary, man, it's 16 nights, 17 days. So that picture above is a picture of the ship going through the first lock of our 3-lock passage, because it was 3 locks that we had to pass through the Panama Canal. And then that itinerary that's below is an itinerary that they displayed, because when we're on a cruise ship, we love to watch this one channel. I think it was channel 2, I can't remember. It was one of the lower channels where it would show you where we were at all times, how fast the speed is going, what the weather is, what the time is, all that kind of stuff. And they would show a map here, just like you would see in a plane. So I don't know if a lot of you flew in a plane where you could pull up the flight map. So this is the same thing, pulling up the ship map to show where we are, and it'll show you showing us moving past these locations and where we are. So I love watching that, because I need to know because it's just me. I need to know where I am. So I stole this picture from my niece. She actually took a picture. I'm surprised I didn't take the picture. Like, what was I thinking about? She took the picture. I just stole it from her. You see her name down there, Kalina James. So I stole her picture to throw it in here so you can see what the itinerary is. We started in Los Angeles. We sailed to 2 stops in Mexico. We went to Guatemala, Costa Rica. We went through the Panama Canal. We stopped in Colón in Panama. And then we went to Grand Cayman and we ended up in Tampa, Florida. So that was really nice just to go from one end of the country through the canal to the other end of the country, sailing from the Atlantic Pacific Ocean over into almost to the Atlantic Ocean, because actually it was the Caribbean Sea. But just to go from one ocean to another ocean, wow, that was pretty cool, ending up in the Gulf of Mexico so we can land in Tampa. And that was wonderful because that was our bucket list, 16 nights, 17 days of going through these 3 locks. And it took 11 hours from the pilot boat, the first pilot boat at the beginning of the canal, to the last pilot boat at the end of the canal. And the captain was saying that was a record. So that tells me that it usually takes longer than that. So that meant if you went on a cruise, you will notice that they always have a pilot boat that's helping you direct you into wherever you need to go, this channel or wherever, every time you come into a city. And then they have people that come on and off the ship to give you approval and all this kind of stuff. So you can see people jumping. It's usually one person jumping on and off that pilot boat and interacting with the ship. So 11 hours between the two. The actual time, that's because I noticed it, because the actual time of us going through the locks, however, was 9 hours. So we were watching this experience for 9 hours. Have several different videos on some of those pictures, and of course I didn't want to bore you with all these different clips. Then I would have to put them in fast motion. Tick, 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 tick. It takes a minute to go through each lock, and we went through 3 of them. So we have numerous videos on stuff like that. So that was really a wonderful thing to experience. And there were, like I said, this is the first lock that we went through. Sometimes we went up and sometimes we went down. And one of them we went up and down. So that was a different experience to see. Oh my goodness, so one lock had 3, if you want to call it 3, 3 spaces in one lock, where it was almost like we went upstairs. We went up one flight, then we moved into another lock, and then went up another flight, and then out on the other side. So that was like we went up 2 flights. And then another one, we went up on one side, and then we went down on the other side. So it was rather interesting to see how the locks were so different. And each of the locks had these mules that were attached to the ship. They weren't pulling the ship through, because the ship can sail itself in there, but it used the mules to help guide it through the ship, guide it through the passageway, so there won't be a lot of bump and friction. We did have a little bump on that first lock, so it was kind of interesting to feel the whole ship go boom. I didn't hear it. Woo, okay, we have to hit the side there. So it's really fun just to watch the mechanics of this mule guiding us at mules, because they have 4, 2 at the front, 2 at the back, that's guiding the ship through to get through to the other side. And that happened on all 3 locks. Also during those locks, we went down the old locks, the one that's been there for however long the Panama Canal has been in existence, open. They have opened up brand new locks that's parallel to, and those are for the bigger ships to go through. So there were ships going that way too, and we got a chance to see those locks at and I know I'm going to pronounce this incorrectly, I think it's Agua Clara Clock. It's spelled AGUA. So those locks was fun. We got to see that on a tour and got to see it from the land and watch these larger ships go through that particular lock. So it was kind of cool. And to see them parallel. And then they took us in that tour on a bridge where we could look down from the bridge at the old locks and the new locks side by side, and seeing ships coming through. Now that was really cool thing to see, both the old and the new locks in operation and watching the ships coming through. So it's amazing, because most of the people that were on this ship were only on the ship on this sailing because they were all doing this bucket list one-day experience going through the Panama Canal. All the other things were just a bonus. All those other lands, all the other locations we landed in were just a bonus. We were all there just for that one thing, and everybody in the ship was either like that. You could see in the corner the point of the bow of the ship where people were there. I was on the upper level. There were like all kind of levels of people. And then, of course, you got that, like I said, the glass on the side. People can watch from the side. People can watch from their balconies. There's all kind of space that you could watch yourself going through. In fact, the first two locks we watched from above, just like this, because the first and the second lock were really close to each other, and this picture doesn't show it, but you could see the second lock in the distance. Maybe it was a mile or so, something like that. It takes a minute to get over there, but you could see it. And so we stood there and watched both of them at the same time. The third lock there's quite a few miles in between, and it's almost like you're going down a river when you're doing this. So that actually gave me a great tease for doing a river cruise, because that's my other bucket list thing I wanted to do. For our 50th, I wanted to do either the Panama Canal or the river cruise. Panama Canal won out, so that's how we ended up doing the Panama Canal. So I'm hoping God will enable us to do the river cruise at another time for some other function, or just because, not because of any celebration, just because I want to do a river cruise in Europe and see land on both sides. So while we're in that little space between the second and the third lock, it was like we were on a river cruise. We could see land left and right of us, and that was kind of cool. The only other river cruise I technically have been on is in the Nile River in Egypt, but that's a whole different kind of river cruise than the one I'm talking about in Europe. Anyway, so there we go about that with the itinerary. So the crew. I am so grateful that God allowed us to enjoy the 16-night, 17-day adventure on the Radiance of the Seas. The staff was superb, from the captain to the lowest staff member. Every single staff member was amazing. And it must be because of the leadership of the captain, because the captain was so approachable, he's humorous and informative. He's not that guy standing in the center. No, so I don't think that's the captain. That guy is the waiter manager, so he's the one that's in charge of all the waiters. It's just that he has a picture by himself, and that's just how he ended up placing. The captain is actually in the lower picture with all the people in the white shirts and blouses. He's the one with the shades on in the middle between my niece and myself. That's the captain. He is so approachable, humorous, informative. I mean, I saw that man all over the place. I mean, most ships, you don't usually you hear the captain all the time because he talks every day about where we are, what the temperature's going on, blah blah blah. And this guy, he even celebrated people's birthdays every day, anniversaries, and not only for people on the cruise, but for staff. So that was really nice to hear that extra personal touch. I don't think I've ever heard that on any other Royal Caribbean or any other cruise ship that I've ever been on. So like, wow, he actually takes the time to find out who's celebrating what. So he did that every day, and he was totally understandable. You could understand them, because a lot of times, just like you think, remember when you're on an airplane, you'll hear the captain come on here, wah 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 wah. You're like, what did they just say? Are we in danger? Him, you could understand everything he said, and it was so cool. Just his humor and it's just something, because it was just cool just seeing him walking around, and like I said, he's so approachable, and everybody else was like that. So that's what I'm saying. It must be a leadership thing on this particular sailing. I've been on a lot of other Royal Caribbeans, and those staff was always great, but this one was like the best ever that we've ever been on before. We were with them for 16 days. So, if you had somebody in there that just wasn't quite up to par, man, you're like kind of stuck for 16 days. But with this group, it's like, oh man, I hate to leave these guys. Because like, can I take you on my future cruises? Because you are all so exceptional, from the cabin stewards, our waiters there in the dining room. And then we had 2 people in the Windjammer too. Those people were exceptional, especially those 3 right there, because they all had some kind of spark to them. They were humorous. They kept you entertained, especially the girl right there. I mean, she would be dancing all the time. So every morning you're dancing your way in to get some breakfast. So if you were kind of dragged out, she would perk you up just because she was there. And our cabin steward, all right, the cabin steward is your most important guy or yeah, a guy. I'm trying to think. I think I have been on one where it was a lady, but most of the time it's always men. He is the one that really, really, really meets your personal needs because they deal with your room and all the things you need. So I have to use a Navage machine that helps flush out my sinuses so that it will remove viruses and allergens because I have several different allergies and I use this device. So when I'm traveling, I use that machine twice a day, where when I'm at home, I don't use it as much because I usually don't need it as much. But when I'm traveling, I make sure I'm going through some foreign allergens and viruses, so I just a little bit more cautious about using it. Or yeah, so I use it in the morning and I use it in the afternoon. So in the evening when I get ready to go to bed. So this device needs distilled water. So I ordered my free distilled water from the ship when I got there on the first day. And by halfway through, because remember I'm 16 nights, 17 days, is a long time, a gallon of water will be used up because I use a cup of water for every single treatment. So it's 2 cups a day. So a gallon will be gone before the 16 days, 17 nights, 16 nights, 17 days are up. So I was at a point where I was getting ready to, okay, this day I'm going to order another one before the day is out. Before I even had a chance to order, the cabin steward already had me another bottle. I'm like, what? That's what I'm talking about. They would see what you need, no matter what level they would see what your need is. They would fill that gap before you even had a chance. They even gave sometimes you even know you had a need until they did something. They're like, wow, these people were on it. So that cabin steward was definitely one of those people. And then, of course, the waiters always know what your preferences are, what you like, what your regular drinks are, So all these people get to know who you are. Even the ones in the Windjammer that was helping out, they also know what your needs are, and they just are right there on it. So, man, I'm just hoping that one day either I get a chance to come back on the Radiance of the Seas. The only problem with that is even if I came back on the Radiance of the Seas, a lot of times the cruise ships, they get moved to a different ship or they go on vacation or whatever. Because there were a couple of people on I'm trying to think, what was it? I think it is on the staff, on the guys with the white jacket, the officers, the white shirts and blouses. Some of those officers it was a couple that said they won't be coming back because they're probably going to another ship because they move them around. So that's like, wow, I'll never get a chance to be with this crew again. I'm just hoping that God will enable me to meet at least one or two of them, any of these people, on some other Royal Caribbean ship because I'll still be sailing with them for some future ones that's coming up. And I hope I get a chance to meet some of them on another ship, which I knew they were enough. Like, where are you going? Where are you going next? So I can go follow you. But this crew was totally, totally exceptional. And like I said, it probably has to do with the leadership, the captain and all his officers that work with him. So I'm thanking God again just for this family on sea, because that's what it was like. They were like one big family because we interacted with all of these people, not just in the dining room, not just in the cabin, because we were running to other places that had nothing to do with their main job for us. So that was kind of an interesting thing, because in other sailings, I would only see these particular people in whatever role they play for me. Here, I saw them all over the place because I know they all do different jobs, but that doesn't mean we would see them. So it was really good just to interact with them, even when they weren't technically serving us or they were just doing something else. So I'm thanking God for this family at sea, and I'm hoping to see them again on another Royal Caribbean ship. So just hang on and listen to the next tape about the cabin that we stayed in on this Royal Caribbean Radiance of the Seas.
Hello, this is Juel Fitzgerald. I am recording this on a Panama Day cruise. We are actually on day 11 of a 16-day cruise. This cruise is our longest cruise that we've ever taken. It's a 16 days, like I just said, through Panama Canal. And the reason why we're actually on this cruise is we're here to celebrate our 50th wedding anniversary, and we wanted to do something a little bit different than our normal 7 or 8 day cruises. So we wanted to do the Panama Canal. Next time I want to do a river cruise, but right now we're on the Panama. So I wanted to show you this room, even this cabin. It's a ocean view balcony cabin, And the reason why I didn't do this earlier, because I don't know, I just didn't do it. And maybe why now I want to do it is to show you this room, even though it has changed since the day we started this, is because right now we're in the middle of the Panama Canal. This morning, we just went through 2 locks, and you will see that later on the video that's going to be part of this video, the 2 locks that we went through, at least something about the 2 locks. And then we're on a lake right now, I forget the name of it, but the lake before the 3rd lock, and then the 3rd lock then will be in the Caribbean. So we'll have already sailed from the Atlantic Ocean to the Caribbean Ocean. So I said, well, what I'm doing here while we're waiting for the 3rd lock, where I'm going to show you this cabin in the condition that is in. All right, so that's overview right there. So let's check out the bathroom. A typical bathroom. Doesn't look any different than a normal cruise bathroom, unless you're in a higher end bathroom. So we have 2 closets. We got the 1 closet here for clothes, and then we got this little compartment here for stuff. We got little hook and hangers for our jackets, which we definitely used yesterday. Was that yesterday already? Because we went on a rainforest hike. So, since it was our 50th, we were celebrating our 50th anniversary, they decorated our room. We actually moved this around. The decorations were in a different kind of configuration at one time, but we moved it over here now. And then this is our latest we call it towel animal, checking out today's schedule. So that one's what that is. And then over here we have some more of the decorations they gave for us. We got 2 little mirror sections here, and the cool part about it looks so, I don't know if you want to call it bright, but then it looks like there does in there. Each of these little things have things you can, compartments. So that's the cool part, because they don't look like they would hold anything. Just mirrors, but they're not. Then we have the 3 sets of drawers. So me and my husband both have 3 sets of drawers. There's a little cooler in here, which we never ever use that for. TV, and then we got shelving up here for clothes or whatever it is you want to put up there. Then we have our bed. Oh, I did show you the couch and a little end table, which is usually in the center. But right now it's off center. But our bed with my pillow, it's my purple pillow, and it's been really funny with our steward, because he puts it in various different places every day. He don't put it in the center. So we was kind of shocked to see, oh my gosh, he has it in the center of the bed today. So I don't know what that means, why that is, but he is. So let me just go out here on the balcony, then maybe I could show you what the Panama is like. And right now it looks like we're on a river cruise, because you can see land on both sides. So here we got our spacious balcony. You got 2 chairs and a lounge chair. So this is a pretty cool balcony right here. And then we're gonna see down the canal, which looks like we're on a river, the Panama Canal. So like I said, we've already gone through 2 locks, and we've been going through our 3rd lock in around another 2 hours. So that's where we are right now, sailing down the Panama Canal. You know, you would have looked at some earlier videos of places that we were earlier before this, because like I said, we're on day 11. So we've been to Costa Rica, Guatemala. I'm trying to flashback, where have we been? We've been a lot. A couple days at sea. We've been to several different places, so you'll have to check out the other videos of all the different places that we've been. We still have Panama City, I can't even pronounce whatever. I can't even think of the word right now. And then Grand Cayman before we get back to Tampa. So day 11 on the 16-day cruise on the Panama Canal with Juel Fitzgerald. See you later.